So this morning I'm joined by Mark Hull. Mark, thank you ever so much for giving up your time to do this.
That's my pleasure. Really enjoy having these sort of conversations.
Excellent. So quick intro really for people who are listening. So really senior marketing leader, operating at chief marketing officer level, and you've worked across consumer services, specialist retail, financial services, so brands including Dignity, Sky, Investco. So a very experienced marketer. We're going to go through some of the questions today to understand more about your career journey, because that's what people are interested in, is kind of how did you get to this level? What have you learned along the way, and what can you share is the premise of what we're going to go through. And I know you have some exciting plans for the year ahead, which we will discuss as well. So if it's all right with you, Mark, we'll dive straight in.
Lovely, let's go.
Excellent. So firstly, would you give a brief overview about your career journey to date, and any particular standout moments for you?
Yeah, of course. I'd like to say it was all this perfect planned career journey, but it wasn't. I ended up in marketing ultimately because my preferred journey of being on the West End stage didn't quite transpire. That was what I wanted to do when I was younger. But back then, drama schools cost money and universities were still free, and I got paid to go to university. So that was how I ended up doing marketing, still enabling to get my creative side across. But that was my entry into the market. And then I spent my first few years pottering around the City of London for fund managers and investment companies, which was actually really great because at that time ISAs and retail funds were really first coming to the market, and these businesses were really investing in marketing and growing how they were approaching to consumers. So it was a really great bed for me to learn my trade and what we did. After that, I went through a few different sectors, a bit of time in telecoms, a bit of insurance, some subscription products, primarily around credit reports, and then a couple of years at Sky. So a good broad range, and I got to do some fun stuff. There I delivered Sky's first standalone pricing notification. I put mobile telephones into Costco warehouses for the first time with a contract there. Did some glamorous stuff like sponsoring the Gumball Rally or going to movie premieres while at Sky. So some really good fun stuff. But then and then I moved to Dignity PLC, which was funerals, which I had a few people going, oh, that's an odd move from Sky. But it was amazing. It's a wonderful industry, and it was green in terms of marketing because funeral directors and the industry marketing didn't exist. So it was a real opportunity to grow something, and I did. Grew that from a team of 7 to over 60, with budgets from about 1 million up to over 20 million. And actually, we didn't just change marketing within the business, we changed the whole industry. And marketing is now a really prominent part of the whole industry. So, and we won a load of awards from the Marketing Society. And I think actually probably my career highlight, we won the Chartered Institute of Marketing's Marketing Team of the Year whilst there. So having recognition for a funeral business marketing from an award like that was something that I was really pleased with.
Good for you. That's a very wonderful accolade. And I know that you said about there that you did things in marketing that kind of really changed the way that industry markets, and strategy is an area where you've got particularly well-honed skills. How do you get stakeholders on board in terms of kind of new strategic direction?
Okay, so this is definitely a lesson learned from experience rather than the reading and the education side of stuff, and because I messed it up, and it's a mistake I won't make again, particularly at Dignity when marketing was quite new, a very traditional structured operational business, and we had all of these grand ideas and marketing strategy, and really based upon good foundation marketing, but I failed to bring the stakeholders on the journey with me. And when I got to present to the board, ultimately it got torpedoed because I hadn't brought the right people on the journey with me.
Yeah.
And again, as I said, I won't make that mistake again. How you bring strategy on board is it's a collective experience. It's a collective journey that you have to go on together. And you have to recognize where your strategy may influence or impact to other areas of the business, because it might mean change for them. And no one really likes change. But if you explain it and you propose it in the right way and you bring people along and you communicate and make them feel a part of it, then that is the way that you can move forwards. So it's the lessons are how you get the stakeholders on board is communicate and make them feel a part of it, speaking their language. And certainly as you become more and more senior, you become less and less, not less and less actually, you become more of a politician. And that absolutely is the way that you've got to keep that going through. So by the time you come to present your strategy to the board, everyone in that room has actually already seen it, because you've gone over it with them individually, you've gone over the facts with them, and effectively it's a procession at that point because everyone's already on board. So that preparation and that communication is essential to really ensuring your strategy comes across and you get what you need to from the business.
Is that the process you went through in order to deliver ultimately your successful strategy?
Eventually, as I say, that it was it was my first time really sort of stepping into a more senior role. So I hadn't had that experience before, and as I say, you learn that everyone's got their own responsibilities and their own objectives and projects and focus, and if you start to encroach or to affect some of that, then it can be a challenge, and this is where the politician side of stuff starts to come into play. So after that first time, yes, I became so much more embedded in working with the whole business, and bringing them along the journey the whole time, which is what enabled subsequent strategies or projects that we wanted to deploy to be able to be successful.
Excellent. Slightly different question this time, because I know that you're sort of well connected with other chief marketing officers, your kind of peer group. What do you think may be some of the priorities for senior marketing leaders over the next sort of 12 months or so?
I think if I really kind of lay it down, it's the effectiveness of the team. I think and not just marketing, I think we're still trying to find the optimal way for teams to truly be effective in the current way that we work. We've been through this massive change in work patterns and hybrid nature, and all of the way that we work is still not fully embedded to get the best out of our teams. We have a lot of benefits of this, but we've lost some lovely things like the spontaneous creativity that used to exist when you were in that office environment every day. And yes, you can have team days, but it's like, right, today we're going to be creative, or today we're going to be strategic. And it's a forced mindset that yes, you can work with, but sometimes you miss that real special piece. So I think the effectiveness of team and productivity is still a big priority that we've got to resolve. But it also covers the big thing, which is AI and technology, and it hasn't taken me that long to get the AI word into this conversation. But because it's there, it's changing the way that we work, and again, how we use it effectively within our teams and what we produce is really, really important. And so that focus as a senior leader on bringing all of that together to deliver the work that's needed, I think is going to be the key thing that we all need to work on.
And how do you lead teams through these periods of change?
I think that comes back a little bit of what we've just discussed about bringing the stakeholders on board. It's clear communication and making everyone feel a part of everything that you're doing. So that is, yeah, bringing people into the projects all the way through, give ownership, accountability, and the freedom to be a part of what you're producing and where you're moving towards. And again, that's difficult in the modern way when you do have disparate teams and you're not all necessarily in the same place at the same time, but you've got to find those ways to either have group communications, or you've got to work harder as a senior leadership in your one-to-ones and your individual conversations. And it is hard work. And you've got to adapt and change to ensure that no one's left behind and everyone feels as they're a part of what you're doing. Otherwise, it will fall apart. And you will notice that impact when you come to actually execute and deliver what you've been planning.
So the key is good communication to get the engagement then from the teams.
Yeah, and two-way. As I say, that it's you've got to be listening, and you've got to have your pulse on the rhythm of the team and what's going on, and recognise where you as a leader have to adapt and change to ensure that the harmony is there within your team and what you're trying to achieve.
That's very true. What advice would you share, Mark, with someone who has got their sights set on a senior leadership role?
I would say have your own personal strategy. So as a marketer, and if people are watching this, you are a marketer. So go through a marketing strategy and process and apply it to yourself. Have a full diagnosis and understanding of your market and your audience, which is senior leadership teams or CEOs, and how are you going to create a position for yourself? And I don't just mean, oh, I've got a load of industry experience, therefore I'm appropriate. You've got to create your brand or your persona, and you've got to make something that's going to make you stand out. And then you move into the part of the strategy, the promotional part of the strategy. Right, well, how are you going to promote and sell yourself? And that's both strong work internally, but you've got to make it visible and build that personal brand. This is a marketing challenge. You as an individual are a product. So use the tools and the knowledge and experience to deploy a marketing strategy for you as an individual to get you to that senior leadership role. And if you approach it that way, that's then you're demonstrating where your real skills are.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you've got some exciting plans for the next 12 months, because as we were catching up pre the call, you're looking to write a book.
I am. Well, if you come back to what that piece of advice I'm just talking about, trying to get people into their senior leadership role.
Yeah.
That's something I'm applying to myself. How can I make my experience and my knowledge relevant to a wider audience? So yes, I have framed a marketing framework called Once or Twice, which is a recognition of that for a lot of businesses, it's not all about repeat purchase and loyalty and repetition, or the familiarity of walking into a supermarket and buying products or services. There are a whole ton of businesses where their customers are only going to buy their product once or twice in a lifetime. So yes, I have my experience of working with funerals and funeral plans, which are typically a once or twice purchase. But if you start to expand this out wider, anything wedding related, most people, not everyone, will only get married once or twice. I know there's a few people that go further than that, but for most people, you're going to be in the market to buy a wedding dress or hire a wedding photographer once or twice. When it comes to babies, you're only going to buy one pushchair or the nursery furniture once or twice for most people. But it goes wider than that. Eye surgery, laser eye surgery, or buying a fitted kitchen, or having an extension on your house, or even commitment purchases where you're going to choose a university or a care home or a children's nursery. So, and all of these types of businesses, there is unique customer behavior and their purchase behavior and decisions are different. And so yeah, the book and the approach that I'm bringing here is how to effectively market businesses when you have one chance to win a customer. And all of the big brand work and the long game that has to happen before that, to ensure that you are at least considered, and then the most amazing activation and short-term game to ensure that when the customer is in the market, you're there with that chance of winning that customer, because you've got just one chance. So yeah, that's what's on the table, and that's the focus for me right now.
Oh, good for you. Well, I wish you the very best of luck with that, and do let us know when that is published, and
Yep.
we will share with our community so
Thank you,
people can
Suzie.
purchase and read. I know you're super positive. We know each other pretty well. Would you be so kind as to share? We talk a lot on these Q&As about the power of positive mindset and resilience. What sort of hints, tips, or habits do you have that would be useful to share with our audience?
So there's two things. Yes, keeping that positive mindset is there, but also sometimes recognizing when it's a mask rather than a mindset. And I'm sure we've all been in that place where you are trudging through and you are putting on a mask to present yourself in a particular way, which sometimes might be necessary. But you've got to make sure that you're not wearing that mask all the time, and it doesn't become the default position, that you have to work on what's on behind it. And me personally, it's all of the usual stuff. It's having clear structure and goals and a focus that I can tick off, chunking big projects down so that I don't feel overwhelmed. And it's like, okay, right, I've done this today or this today. Brilliant, here's a win. Great, I'm moving forwards. Physical health, I do triathlons. That's my escape. And that's my physical break. Or even just things like clear boundaries. So even when I'm coming into work in my home office, I get dressed as if I'm coming into the office. And at the end of the day, I get changed, because that's my mental break of I'm leaving work, and I can have that mental barrier that keeps it separated. So it's always just those little things that amalgamate up to giving you the overall positive mindset that you need to try and maintain.
Excellent. Love those. Really good practical tips there. Mark, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure catching up. Really brilliant answers, and very, very best of luck with the book.